Powerful insights often occur when you least expect them. On Transformative Leadership Conversations, they're at the heart of every episode. Hi, I'm your host, Winnie Da Silva, and together we're exploring a spectrum of leadership themes through the compelling stories and insights of seasoned leaders and prominent experts. In each episode, you'll walk away with inspiration, strategies, and tools to enhance your leadership, build effective teams, and lead thriving organizations. I am thrilled today to be joined by Arjita Sethi, an extraordinary entrepreneur and educator. Arjita is the founder of New Founder School, which is a virtual business school that supports immigrant and unconventional founders in launching and growing their businesses. She's also the co-creator of Shanti, a new wellness platform bridging ancient Ayurvedic wisdom with modern needs. So Arjita's journey began back in Delhi, in India, at just 16 when she was co-running a vocational school with her mother. Since then, she's launched and led a venture-backed ed tech company, become an angel investor, sits on the advisory board of the NASDAQ Entrepreneurial Center, teaches at San Francisco State and Holt Business School, is an advisory council member for the Harvard Business Review, and somehow she's doing all of this while raising her young son. Today, we'll talk about what it takes to lead when the system wasn't built for you, how resilience and reinvention go hand in hand, and what she's learned from training thousands of underestimated founders across the world. Arjita, I'm so excited to have you on the show. Thank you for taking the time to be here.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me, Winnie.
Yes. So I kind of want to get right into some things. We're going to come back to your background in a minute because you have so much in your background that's just really interesting and fun to, I just want to hear all about it. But I want to start with this whole idea of immigrant founders and unconventional founders, as you now have come to really talk about the work that you do and the people that you work with. But like maybe start with like what are some of the biggest misconceptions about immigrant founders or unconventional founders, and maybe you could talk about the difference between the two as well.
Yeah. So let's start with the misconceptions, okay? Because especially given time, I think there's this biggest misconception that we are here to take something away. Instead, I feel we're here to build something. I mean, we see opportunities that others miss because we understand multiple markets, we speak multiple languages, we bridge very different worlds and contexts. And we're not trying to replicate an idea or copy an idea. We're trying to improve it by bringing those diverse perspectives to maybe universal problems. So I think that's the biggest misconception when it comes to immigrant founders. But like you asked, like who do you think would be an immigrant founder and unconventional? I mean, immigrant founder, as the name suggests, immigrant founder, but unconventional founder or unconventional entrepreneur essentially is anyone who is not the stereotypical entrepreneurship, but this person who fits that.
Can I just say, like, is that like a white male? Is that like kind of what we're saying? Or maybe not. I don't know.
I mean, the stereotype has changed over a period of time. I think so. Being in Silicon Valley and building companies, I think it's changed drastically, but it still is somebody who, has the backing, has the background, has a network, all of that pushing them towards entrepreneurship, and they're already set for success. I mean, even if they fail, they're successful. They're failing forward. But an unconventional entrepreneur could be immigrants or, parents who are thinking, I want to build something. I'm a parent. I want to create something. Or people without trust funds, or multi-passion creators or, people who are just trying to build something that really aligns with their values. I saw this problem. I think other people would have it. I want to build it. It's not necessarily venture capital metric oriented, and these are the kind of people who are unconventional. They do not fit that one size of the traditional stereotypical founder, but the whole idea that these are people who would have never thought of becoming entrepreneurs, but they saw a problem, they found an idea, and they're building something. It doesn't have to just be a seven-figure business or $1 million business or, something that is venture backed. It could be. I'm seeing that more and more, which is amazing. But there's so many different definitions of entrepreneurship that they are embracing. So that is an unconventional entrepreneur.
I almost feel like there's 2 parts to that. One is who the person is, but also you kind of gave a hint to what their actual idea is. Might also be unconventional. Is that how you see it?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So they're not really essentially building just to get that unicorn status or the $1 trillion. There's more to it.
So, and is that more to it? Does it feel like, immigrant or unconventional entrepreneurs, do you feel like they might be driven a little bit more by purpose?
A little bit more when I say they're driven by purpose, but also essentially the way we see markets, it's very, very different. It's the journey that you have traveled, right? I have lived at this point, I um, was born in India, I grew up in India, I studied in the UK, I've lived in the UAE and Oman and in the US in Silicon Valley, in San Francisco, and now in Austin. So the journey that I have traveled versus somebody who grew up within that limited network and went ahead to build something is very different. So the perspective is very, very different when it comes to building something. It is, I am building for a longer lasting vision. I am building for a bigger audience. It's not just this tiny problem that needs to be solved. It needs to solve an issue for a lot of people. Maybe in this context, it would not work. Maybe it would work in this context. I would go ahead and think about being sustainable from the get go because being through that psychological and financial insecurity has taught me that I need to go ahead and uh, think about these things early on. I would be building really lean because I do not have a network to rely back on who's going to pay my rent, groceries, or so these are some of the things that I would and I've seen unconventional founders think about because they were put into that situation all their life. So that hustle that people think hustle is about working 18 hours a day when you have an idea. No, an unconventional entrepreneur has been hustling before the idea even came. It's their way of life, The hustle is really their way of life. It helped them survive and thrive. And now if I bring that to an idea, imagine the capacity of that idea to grow.
And kind of along that same line, Dr. Neri Silliman, who we're going to hear from this month as well, in her book Pioneers, she talks the statistics that she offers are like 13. Now, this is just for the U.S., right? But 13% of the U.S. population are immigrants, but 28% of entrepreneurs are immigrants, and 45% are in Fortune 500 companies. And so I'm kind of wondering from a business perspective, why do you think immigrant or underestimated or unconventional founders turn out to be so successful? And maybe it points to some of the things you were just talking about.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's in addition to all of that, it's also the fact that we've always had to build something from scratch. And I was just another thing. We were building our life from scratch. When I moved to continents, I had to rebuild my life. I had to learn a whole new language. I had to learn a whole new culture. I had to leave everything behind. I have been through that isolation period and it is hard, but I survived it. So at this point, I feel that immigrants and unconventional founders, they come from this anti-fragile DNA that they cannot be broken. They've built so many things. And that's why an idea is just another thing they're building. It's not the first thing they've built.
Yeah, to me, it almost kind of makes me think it's like there's muscle memory behind it. It's like I remember in another situation this being really hard, and yet I was able to do it and overcome it. And so if you have a couple of reps like that, when you get to the point that you're building a company, it feels like, okay, this feels familiar. It's kind of normalizes it or something.
Yeah, yeah. And this is one of the things that I essentially critically remind unconventional entrepreneurs that you have three very critical skills already within you. Like you have tolerance for ambiguity. That is already built in your like DNA. This is what you had to do. Now you just have to bring it to your business. You're scared this won't work. You were also scared, how am I going to work in a new space, in a new place? Right? And then second is scavenging. You had to figure things out, figure information out. So you will be a good entrepreneur. If you are able to scavenge the right information, become the expert in your field, you'll be able to be okay. And the third is introspection. This comes very naturally. I know it's a very mindful exercise for us, but tell me an immigrant or tell me an underestimated founder, an unconventional founder who's not asked themselves, why am I doing this? That introspection comes very, very naturally because guess what? We are getting rejected from left, right, and center. So I don't think, this is something that we bring to the table already. And that's what we tell at New Founder School, that just bring those qualities forward. You know this. Like you said, the muscle memory, you know it, just bring it forward. And remember, that's all you need to be an entrepreneur. I think majorly the skill gap for most of the entrepreneurs happens not about technical aspect. I don't know how to do this, but they have this lack of, do I even belong in this role? Which can go like the good way or the bad way. I feel it goes the good way because we work 3 times as hard, 10 times as hard to prove that, we can be successful, which means we successful companies. It's just a bunch of those insecurities that come into play where we are like, this is it. We have to make it survive. We have to make it thrive. This is it. We have to do this. And that's why this building mindset is a very natural way of life for
Yeah.
unconventional founder.
I like what you were just saying about it. It almost feels like from what you were saying before about maybe not having the natural network or not having like even just friends or people, where you're now living and trying to start this business. Like if you are feeling like, do I really belong here? Like you don't have a lot to fall back on anyway. Do you know what I mean? It's like I might not belong here, but I'm going to move forward anyway because I don't really have anywhere else to go. I mean, maybe I could just get a job at, wherever, but right? I mean, it feels like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I want to unpack two things. I mean, one is what you're currently doing now with your new founders school, and you're now starting a new company as kind of a perennial, founder yourself. But I'd love to go back a little bit and talk about your background and how you got to where you are today. You have like so many things that you've done, lists of accomplishments, but there's some major milestones, and I think it starts when you were 16 and you started a school with your mom. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that, and then how you jumped to coming here and why you wanted to come here to the U.S.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. So I remember I was in high school and I was really bored out of my high school. Um, And I saw my mom running the school where she was just, for the lack of better word, she was such a badass. She's like an entrepreneur, she's her own boss, and she is going out there. And this is back in 2000, what, 4. This is long, like 21 years ago. Who would think of woman running her own business, successful, all of that? So I just reached out to her and I was like, I want to do this with you. At that time, I did not know there was this word called co-founder. I had no idea. All these terms weren't there. But I asked her, I want to work with you and I just want to do something. And uh, she took me seriously. She took me very, very
That says
seriously.
a lot.
Yeah.
That says a lot. Yeah, about your mom and what she thought of you and like what she thought about like the value and what you'd be learning from doing that.
Yeah. And she was like, okay, uh, that's all right. Let's start doing this together. And we did. And she would go ahead and she and I would wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning, 5 a.m. in the morning, and then, pack these bundle of pamphlets, give it to the local newspaper people, and then they would go ahead, deliver those pamphlets. Then we would have sales calls about our packages. We would have partnership calls, and we were working with the United Nations, and we are training UN peacekeeping missions and organizations around the country, Kendriya Vidyalayas. And I mean, it was a world that opened up to me, which I was like, wait a second, what? Every day there is no curriculum, and I do not have to like b- learn this or remember this and regurgitate this on a paper. It's literally on the fly. And the consequences are, really high. The stakes are really high in this. You cannot have a bad sales call. You cannot have a bad customer service. You have to show up over and over again because this means end of business. And that so learning through those ups and downs was so interesting. Also, sometimes the cleaner of the school that we were doing would not come. So my mom and I are cleaning the classrooms in the morning before the students can come in. It was a really humble, modest, and powerful experience at the same time. And we have a team of these 25 people who are employed with us, and we are taking care of them. It was a phenomenal experience for somebody that young. Now looking back, I want to replicate that for my kid as well. And I keep talking to Anshul, how do we put him into that kind of a life? Because that literally set me up for where I am today. 7 years, I did that with my mom, and we reached 100,000 people, worked with some of the biggest organizations around the world.
And can I ask you what kind of school it was?
It was a vocational school. We would give technical and professional and language training so that people could get jobs, people could get skills to get a job, uh, and basically come out of this whole idea that this is their way of life. That's it.
So you started that school with your mom when you were 16 in India. Now, fast forward, you're actually have another school that you have called the New Founder School, right? But you did a whole bunch in between. You got into contact with someone who is living in San Francisco and started talking to him, right? Who's now your husband, wanting to start a company with him. Is did I get that right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, Anshul and I, we were connected on Facebook through a few mutual friends at that time, and he saw my pictures of the school because we used to post about all the things that were happening at school. And he reached out. He's like, I am working for a big gaming company, and I build games that reach millions of people. I want to do something meaningful. How can I help you? And this was around the same time that I had seen Steve Jobs talk at Stanford, the commencement speech. And I was like, oh my God, I'm able to reach like what, 100,000 people. How do I reach 1 million people? Well, how is Facebook able to do that? How is Apple able to do that? Oh, it's Silicon Valley. I need to be there because I am not an engineer. So I knew that I know how to do business, but you need to know how to build as well, build and sell. So I can sell, but what do I build? And when Anshul reached out to me, I was like, okay, I have an idea. Since you're in gaming, I have this idea of building this game and gamified learning because that's what we had built at our school. It was a gamified curriculum to learn vocational skills. So we can use that to teach basic literacy skills. And he's like, I've been toying with this idea for a really long time as well. Wait, can you build that curriculum? Because I'm not into education. I was like, can you build that platform? Because I'm not into build. And we started talking how we both wanted to be entrepreneurs and starting a company in Silicon Valley. And I was like, okay, then let's do it. And he's like, yeah, why are we wasting time? Our missions are aligned, our purposes are aligned. This is perfect. Let's get married. We love each other. Let's start a company. And that's basically what we did. 9 months later, we were married. I moved to San Francisco, and we were a block away from Moscone Center where this WWDC happens, Apple's biggest conference happens, Salesforce is here and everything. And we lived there for like a long time. But We started dreaming about building our startup. So that's how we met, and I landed in San Francisco.
So you had this amazing business company with your husband. And I think it was like 43 countries. You got tons of funding. You had like tons of support. It was successful. And then you gave it up. Oh, almost. Okay. So, yeah. So fill in the dots and then tell me why you gave it up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So there's something that, again, I think everyone needs to understand about immigrant entrepreneurship is that the visa uncertainty is brutal. I mean, the stakes are really high for us when you like picture this. You're literally 1 week away from being broke. You have to pay the rent. You have to choose between paying your team or you're going to do these expenses, investments, things like that. And if your startup fails, you might have to leave the country. That's literally, how this is working. And when you receive multiple rejections over and over again, it's hard to not feel that it's not personal, you know, time because your entire personal life is going to be uprooted if you fail, if you are rejected. It's not just a rejection from. So when I moved here, and we both thought we'd be entrepreneurs, our immigration lawyer said, wait a second, no, your husband's on H-1B, you are on a dependent visa. There's no way. Like there was one immigration lawyer who told us, wait for 25 years and then you can do this. Like, what? What did I sign up for? That's not why I'm here. And we had a bunch of people telling us around us, why don't you just get a job? It's great. They pay you really good money. And
It's not that bad.
it's not that bad. It's amazing. You get to home every weekend and you can, go and, have a really good life. You buy a nice house with a nice picket fence and, have a pet, have kids. It's a dream. You can have the dream, but Anshul and I were having a different dream. We really wanted to build a company. We wanted to build a startup. And it just felt that that is what our purpose was. And uh, I went ahead, did a master's in social entrepreneurship in San Francisco, because of which I got authorization for a year. And that was literally the year where I felt this is the year I have to make sure that we are successful so that we can figure out our visa situation. So we did. The company became really successful. We built a customer pipeline of 40,000 users across like 14 countries. Our research happened in Finland. We got our pedagogy scores of 91%. We became a semifinalist for Elon Musk's $15 million X Prize, got venture back for dream investors, all of that. But two things happened, and one was the burnout, of course. We were working 18-hour days, and there were days where like Anshul and I had not even seen each other. When he would be sleeping, I would be awake. When he would be awake, I
Oh,
would
wow. You were
like that.
tag teaming it.
Oh my God. It was amazing. It was great. And I think it is the best test for your marriage and for your 20s. I would recommend if somebody wants to see how strong their marriage is and how much you cook in your 20s and learn, it's a great exercise. And we did that for a good about 2014 to about 2019, about 5 years.
Oh my gosh, that's a long time.
That's another thing. People think this success is overnight. It isn't. It is years in making, years in making. And then in 2019, two things happened. We realized we were building an AI company where nobody knew about AI, and AI had not really reached a point where we could build anything more than what we had. We had a functioning pro, but that it was we were too ahead of the
Which
time.
is a common thing that happens with founders. Yeah, I mean, that's happened with people I know as well. That your ideas are good, they're sound, and they're amazing, but they're too
It's
futuristic.
not possible. Exactly. So that was the first failure that we took personally. Are we wrong? Why can we not build this? Like why is it possible? What if we just push another month, another year, and it'll become, but it was just not feasible. So when you're so into building a product, and no matter what the reality is, you just want to keep pushing. And that's something that we kept doing. And then we both were burnt burnt out and exhausted. And we took a decision. Like I was supposed to travel solo to Paris to meet my friends in Portugal and everything, just for a break. It was a 1 week long break. And Anshul said, "Hey, you're headed to Paris. I'll take another flight to Paris, and I'll meet you there the next day. I need to talk to you about something very important." And I was like, "This is it. My marriage is just gonna get over. This is it." So I was like, "Oh my God, it's been hard. It's been really hard. It's been hard on both of us as founders and raising money. And the highs are highs together, but the lows are also lows together, and that's intense." And I remember he landed a day later, and he's sitting at a cafe, and I'm there with him. Like, "What did you want to talk about?" And he's like, "I really cannot do this anymore." And I was like, "This is it." And he said, "My marriage is way more important than my startup for me. And I really want to build something long term, but we have to call it. This is it. We've tried everything. So why don't you finish your trip and you take care of the design team?" So on my trip, on the 1 week off that I had in years, I had to lay off my design team. He said, "I'll lay off my tech team and I'll book the calls with our investors and we'll wrap this up." And he's like, "We're gonna take the next year and a half. Let's travel. Let's be normal people for a while." And this was in August, and I came back, and um, yeah, so basically over the next 3 months, we tried to wrap up the company. So by end of 2019, we had shut down our company. And 2020, we were ready to plan our life. We didn't travel.
Right. No one's planning their life. Everything's shutting down, right? Not just you and your company. Can I ask you really quick, did you like sell any part of your company? Was it like viable in that way, or it was just like, we just have to shut it down?
No, we just shut it down. Honestly, I think it came to a point where we just wanted to, it wasn't the right time for that idea.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You'd done everything you could and you were burned out and it was just time and you
For
just,
the
yeah.
viable prototype that we had built, nobody would be interested. I think people would be interested in it today, what we built back then, because there was no market for it. There were no people for it. And so this is something like Anshul and I talk about. And now we have our own 11-month-old. So looking at him on building a company from perspective and AI reaching the right moment here, we're thinking maybe in 2 years or 3 years, it's the right time to build that again as its AI is smashing. So you can always come back, and our investors understood. And that is something that was so valuable for us, Winnie, because they said, "When you're ready, when you want to build this, tell us. We would be very interested."
That says a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. It was only one of the angels on our cap table who said, "Yeah, I don't think you did enough." But you're always going to have, those kind of people. But everybody on our cap table was like, "We value this. You've done everything you could. I think it is the right decision. And yeah, keep us informed, keep us in loop." So many of those on investors became my early advisory board members for New Founder School when I was building it.
Okay, so let's stop here for a second. So that catches us up a little bit to today, but you just even right now today are wearing so many hats and doing so many things. You have your fingers in so many places. Can you just summarize what you're doing right now? In all the different areas, including New Founder School. But can you kind of summarize that?
Yeah, I'm a mom to an 11-month-old, which I think is the hardest thing, all the things that I'm doing. That's why I am putting it right on top. Uh, that's the thing that I'm doing. I run the New Founder School. I founded it in 2020. And I am the professor of entrepreneurship at San Francisco State University. I invest in startups, and I am on the advisory board of NASDAQ's Entrepreneurial Center. I'm on the advisory council of Harvard Business Review, and I'm building my own wellness company.
Very nice. Okay, that's great. I guess I kind of want to double down on the new founder school because I think that that's something that is so relevant to this whole theme of immigrant founders, unconventional founders. What have you learned? Like, I mean, because you came to founding this school knowing already so much about entrepreneurship from your own perspective, and doing it with your husband and doing it with your mom, and right. So, what have you been learning through working with unconventional entrepreneurs through this process?
Yeah, yeah. I think there are a couple of things in the past, I would say 4 years that we've been building this. We've reached about 1,000 entrepreneurs. I have personally worked with 100 plus entrepreneurs, I would say, but 1,000 entrepreneurs have taken our sessions or courses, all of that. And what I have learned time and time again, and this is something that I didn't think was possible first, that entrepreneurship can be taught. I thought entrepreneurship only be learned by doing it, and it cannot be taught. And I have realized, being an entrepreneur myself and now teaching it, it does make your life easier if you have somebody to tell you what can potentially happen instead of you just being in a silo by yourself and thinking, I'll figure this out on my own. And something that I did not believe in myself, I thought it had to be hard. And it is hard. Life is hard as an entrepreneur, but it doesn't have to be as hard as we make it to be.
Doesn't have to be so hard.
You can ask for help. Like, the hard part is being consistent, showing up. The hard part is moving forward even after the rejection. But what people don't tell you is the direction that you could take, what possible to explore, what other ideas to think about, what uh, uh, parallel industries to know and understand. Like, just this morning, Anshul is building, of course, his own startup, and it's an AI gaming blockchain startup. So he was like, I've got so deep into AI, I've forgotten everything outside of AI. Now I have to reskill there. And that's what happens with all of us entrepreneurs. We get so deep within our field that we forget anything else exists. And that limits us. And the best way to do that is having a community that is diverse enough to kind of keep you updated.
Yeah. So those are 2 big ones. I mean, one is the community, right? And that it doesn't have to be so hard, and having that community, I mean, I assume it helps you focus on the things that you really need to focus on versus the things that you can lean on others to help you with.
And this is where we have to work on our own biases, because we only try to find help uh, in people who look like us or who've been through their journey, or who are in our industry or who have the same skill set.
Any of those are a silo on its own, right? Yeah, but being siloed, right?
Exactly. And when I say community, you need to be, and this is something that what we do with our founders at New Founder School as well. When I started the New Founder School program, so many entrepreneurs I thought would be startup founders. Now look at my own bias. I was like, yeah, I'm going to teach them about funding, about this. But 2020, when I started talking about this, there were people who came in and said, hey, I'm like the artist, and I want to sell my art. Can you teach me how to do that? It's like, what? What? Yeah, of course, that's a business. Why didn't I think of that? A mom came to me and said, I want to start a yoga studio in my garage. It's COVID, and I'm not able to host classes. Can you teach me how to monetize that? Another immigrant founder came to me. She was working in like data AI analytics, and she's like, I want to start building courses and teach this and be a creator on Instagram. Can you help me reach 100,000 followers on Instagram and monetize that? It completely shifted my brain on what I was thinking entrepreneurship should be. And so those founders today have built communities of a half a million people. They have sold out courses. There are people who have built seven-figure businesses on a services business. And so these are own biases that I thought, this is what a business should be. And these founders taught me, no, there's always in your business. Like I have a nanny right now in one of our programs, a full-time nanny who is building a platform on demand childcare platform. I'm like, that is a and she can build it because AI is robust enough to help her build that platform now. And she's doing that. It would have never struck me. I would always think, oh, let's build the next social network. Let's build the next unicorn. Let's build the next billion-dollar company. But there's so much definition and nuance and niches within entrepreneurship that I'm still exploring. That was one of my biggest lessons, that entrepreneurship comes in uh, different sectors, and it can be taught. It definitely can be taught.
And I wanna double down on that because it almost sounds like you had also a bias around the kind of person that could start a business, right? In terms of like who they were or how they thought or something like that. And it sounds like this whole idea is that entrepreneurship can be thought is such a different way of thinking about entrepreneurship.
Yeah, yeah. I'll tell you, one of the founders I taught last year, she was part of our program. She was a dependent founder on H4 visa. She had moved here, just got her work authorization. She's like, I'm trying to look for jobs, but you know what I would love to do? I would love to flip houses. And I'm like, what? Okay. So in your program, can you just teach me about business basics so I can apply that to my idea? And just 2 days ago, she sent me a message. We were very connected. I'm connected to every founder on social media. So she sent me a message. I'm still interviewing for multiple jobs, but honestly, I think I am unemployable because of the work that I'm doing with flipping houses. And I'm making enough that I can survive without a job. And I'm like, whoa, I think blowing my mind. I so yeah, there are case studies that, and this is an unconventional entrepreneur. This is true. I don't know much about flipping houses, but she said, "What do you teach a startup? Tell me everything. I'm going to use that in my core skills here while building business." So that's yeah, it's been very interesting.
That's very interesting. I'm kind of curious, given where you were burnt out and kind of where you are today, like what are you doing differently this time? And especially, I mean, first of all, you just named 10, 5 things or something that, 5 hats that you're wearing. And of course, one of them is being, a relatively new mother. So what have you learned that you're doing differently this time since you burnt out? Oh, and then by the way, of course, you're saying that you want to start this new company, which I want to talk about too really quick. But yeah, what are you doing differently?
A lot of things. Being more intentional about what I'm building, Winnie, and doing it on my own terms. The definition of success, the problem with watching that Steve Jobs video was I wanted to be like him. And that's not possible. There's one Steve Jobs, and that's done. He's lived his life, he did everything, he built and that's it. I cannot be like him. I can only be like myself. And that realization only came after I burnt out the first time. I was so hard at trying to be this amazing entrepreneur that people look up to, and I would give a commencement speech at a university, which I did. I was invited to give a speech at my own university where I did my master's in social entrepreneurship. So I've done that. So what happened basically in 2021? Honestly, 2020 was still a year to just kind of figure out for me, but 2021, I look back and I was like, I was 32 at that point, and I'm like, I've done everything that I possibly wanted to do on my list. Build a venture backed company in Silicon Valley, be on NASDAQ, be on these advisory boards, invest in companies, like e- become financially secure. I've done all of that. What am I trying to prove? Or be even doing after all of that did not make me happy. I was burnt, I was tired, I was lonely, and I still did not feel like I felt it, it should make you feel happier when you've achieved all of
Yeah,
that.
right. Right.
Empty and lonely and alone and scared for some reason. And that's not what I want to feel. So that's when I took a step back, I think 2021, where I said, this is not going to be the blueprint of my life, and I cannot live someone else's life. So that's when I am a multi-passionate person. I like doing multiple things, but that doesn't mean I'm going to give up my well-being for it. So my boundaries are really strong. Um, and you would know this. Anybody who has to schedule a meeting with me, they have such a hard time because I am very strict about Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I am not having a meeting beyond these days. Except in certain seasons when I am taking off, then I can open up my week. So that's one boundary. Like I am going to go ahead and sit in stillness and silence so that I can focus on strategy from Thursday up until Sunday. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 4 days a week, I need to practice stillness so that 3 days a week I can show up for people totally energized.
That's huge. I mean, it's like as an executive coach, I'm constantly talking to people about creating time to be strategic and to be thinking, actually thinking, and not just talking, meeting, responding, right? And so that I think that's really powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. So my team knows, founders, everybody knows Monday through Wednesday, I'm going to be active and I'm going to be there. But the second thing, this has come especially after being a mom, I will not work more than 6 hours a day. When I say work, that means on screen. I'm not going to be more than 6 hours a day on screen. That's it. So you have me from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. I need to do everything, and if it is a priority, it will get done in 3 days a week in 6 hours. And that's where I'm cutting it off. Rest of the time, I take my notebook and I have multiple pens and I will keep writing and I will come back to it. If it is important, it will stick with me till the next day. And it has done wonders for my prioritization. Like we had 5 million things that I wanted to launch every time. And literally a couple weeks ago, I sat with my team and it's like, I cannot do all of that. This is the first time I brought it to my team. Like, not doing any of that. We're just doing this one thing this year. We're going to do it well. And that is enough. That is okay.
Right. Which causes you to ruthlessly prioritize, right? It's a forcing mechanism. All of this to ruthlessly prioritize, which means that I assume you're getting done the most important thing at the exact right, I mean, at the right time, in the way that we're in a place where you're energized and focused because you've not only ruthlessly prioritized, but you've managed your energy so well.
Absolutely. And the third thing, and I think this comes with a lot of privilege, is also having a sustainable business that helps me build systems and teams. And I was just having this conversation with my team this morning where they said, hey, we have to, get onto the blogs and everything. And I would have never been consistent. The same thing for a social strategy. I would never be consistent. But I know the places when I cannot be consistent. And I have started hiring the people that I would blindly trust with my brand. I would pay them what they are asking for. That is it. Like if you are taking away such a big um, project from my head and you are owning it and you're executing it, please go ahead and do it. So my screen time, like people think I'm on social media often. No, it's my team. I have my team that is being consistent and being there. People think, oh my God, you have a weekly newsletter. How do you do that? You have blogs, you have so many videos. It is my team. Oh, operationally, everybody's getting emails and responses and everything on time. How do you do that? It is my team. So, and that was the biggest goal with New Founder School, where I said, I need to build a sustainable business so that I do not have to keep hustling the way I'm hustling today in a year from now. So that has been the goal, and we've been able to achieve it. I've been able to achieve it. So yeah, I think those are few things that are my non-negotiables that have helped me.
So those 3 things, I wanna make sure that we capture those. So the last one is sustainability, right? And then the first one was really, like, being true to yourself in terms of what, you really wanted to do and who you really were. And then the middle one was help me remember.
Oh, screen time, limited screen
Screen
time,
time.
6 hours.
Well, and it wasn't even just screen time, really. It was, like, how you manage your schedule, right? Yeah, okay, good. So it's like, what are you really passionate about? What do you really wanna do? How are you managing your time and your energy? And then really going into that, how can you make it sustainable with people and processes? That's kind of the yeah. Those are amazing.
Like there's the secret hack that I'm doing. I'm like, there's no secret hack. I'm doing things that you know that you need to do. The only difference is I'm doing that.
Yes, right, exactly. I'm doing them, and you're being disciplined about it.
Exactly. Exactly. And this is what people tell me. Oh, I have this great $1 million idea. I was like, there's no $1 billion idea. There's $1 million execution. So till the time you do not do it, it's worth nothing. I am the queen of getting things done. I will do it. I'm not scared executing things. I don't just sit with an idea. I would say, let's put it into practice, learn from it, and get better at it. That's it.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So we're running out of time. Arjita, I feel like we could talk for a lot longer. This has been so much fun. What what haven't we talked about that someone listening right now who is either an immigrant or unconventional founder or entrepreneur themselves, um, that you want them to know that we haven't talked about yet?
Everybody should be an entrepreneur. People used to think that getting an undergrad degree or a master's degree or a PhD would set them up for life. Sticks have changed. Technologies will come and go. Things will come and go. But if you have three skills, one, to learn enough for you to survive consistently. Second, how to build something, anything. It could be building something physically, making art, creating art, like growing a plant or building tech. And third, how to sell it. Get to know these three skills, build something even on the side that is going to help you have a safe future. Trust me, that has helped me. I'm a non technical immigrant who built her life from scratch. I have no business being who I am, doing what I am, having the success that I've got. It's only because of entrepreneurship. It has saved me. I think it is my faith, it is my temple, and I hope everybody gets to practice it once because you can really change your life with it. So, yeah.
I love it. So, I mean, honestly, even if you are not an entrepreneur your whole life, I think what you're saying is even trying it once, you'll learn so much and it will guide you in ways that are probably unexpected to whatever you do next.
Absolutely. And I've had a founder who took the course, our 1 year long course, went back to Google and applied it there. And
Oh,
she now
yeah.
is well as an executive. So, yeah,
I'm glad you said that. I'm really glad you said that at the end because that's really important, right? It is, and it goes back to those skills. Learning those skills that you can apply in amazing ways, whatever it is that you do. Yeah. Arjita, thank you so much. This has been so much fun. So excited to have you here. And we'll link all your information in the show notes so that people can reach you and find you and take the course if they're interested. So thank you.
awesome. Thank you so much, Winnie. Have a great day.
You're welcome. You too. Thank you for listening to this episode of Transformative Leadership Conversations. Next week, we'll continue to explore the theme of immigrant entrepreneurs by talking with Dr. Neri Kara Silliman. Dr. Silliman is also an entrepreneur, professor, and author whose own refugee journey has powerfully shaped her leadership lens. Her new book, Pioneers: 8 Principles of Business Longevity from Immigrant Entrepreneurs, which was published earlier this year, explores what immigrant entrepreneurs can teach us about building lasting businesses rooted in purpose, passion, and kindness. It's a conversation about resilience and identity, which redefines what it means to lead. My conversation with her is the best possible way to wrap up this really important leadership series. If you're ready to take your leadership to the next level or empower your teams for success, I am here to help. Reach out to me directly at winnie@winifred.org or check out my website at www.winniedasilva.com to learn more about my work in coaching executives, developing critical leadership skills, and working with clients to build effective teams. You can also find me on Substack and LinkedIn. Whether you're engaging with me online, suggesting topics, or joining the conversation on social media, your voice is a vital part of this podcast. Because you are always welcome to take a seat at the table where every conversation has the potential for transformative change.